Today my time is a little bit more limited because I have to be at class an hour earlier than I normally do. So I'm gonna end at about 4:35. Um, so thank you for coming, everybody. My name is Kelly Gluckman. This is a series concerning topics regarding HIV. It's brought to you by brightbod.com. This is my personal experience. It is not intended to be medical advice. The microphones are going to be silenced for about 20 to 25 minutes while I do my presentation, and then I'll open up the floor for questions. I highly encourage any and all questions. Have something next to you to write on if you have questions while I'm talking, just so that you don't forget them. And I'm happy to answer anything that you might have afterward. If you have any questions, if you find that after this is over, you still have questions or something comes up, you can feel free to go to brightbod.com and you can record yourself asking a question, and then someone will come in and answer that for you. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Today, I'm going to be talking about what not to do after an HIV diagnosis. An HIV diagnosis is really difficult. It comes with a lot of shame and guilt, and it's really easy to feel like you're all alone and like you're the only person who knows what you're going through. It's really easy to want to escape. I typed in escapism on Google, and this is the picture that came up, and it's kind of a great visual because it's overwhelming and it's really easy to just want to ignore it and push it aside and just escape the world and escape what you're going through. And these feelings are very, very normal. Don't panic. First and foremost, don't panic. The worst thing that you can do is nothing at all. So you're going to want to take some kind of action. Taking some kind of action will make you feel better immediately. Jump on Google, find an infectious diseases doctor in your area. And if you feel lost and if you want to talk to a human being, call the clinic that diagnosed you and ask them about resources in your area. Today I'm going to be talking a lot more about emotional coping than I am about like finding a doctor or medication. I've talked a lot about that in the past, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about that. But today I'm going to be focusing more so on emotional coping and how to take care of yourself emotionally. Do not avoid going to a doctor. Once you get into the care of a doctor, you'll feel much more in control of your situation. So that's pretty much the most I'll go into as far as like medically. My number one piece of advice is to get yourself to a doctor. Do not dive into conspiracy theories. They are not helpful. They do not serve you. Just don't do it. I talked a lot about HIV denialism. Going into denial and reading up about HIV denialism and government conspiracy theories is not going to help you. It's just going to make you feel worse. Do not wait to contact your previous sexual partners. They deserve the opportunity to take care of their situation if necessary. So a lot of times it's really difficult to contact your previous sexual partners. This is not something easy to do unless you have great relationships with them or unless you happen to be Superman or Superwoman. It's not easy. There are resources to do that anonymously though. And this is the best one that I found. It's on stdcheck.com. So write down that website up top there if you need it. And you can type in someone's phone number or their email address, and the website will send them an anonymous email or text message. And it'll say, you've been sent something from stdcheck.com. You've been notified to go get yourself tested because one of your previous partners tested positive for something. It doesn't say what it is. It doesn't say who is notifying them. It just says you're going to want to go get yourself tested. And you've been sent this from, stdcheck.com. You will feel better as a human being for having integrity, and it will help you along your coping process. It'll help you get some closure with your past, and just knowing that you've done that for the people in your past will just help you feel better. Do not have unprotected sex until after you've gotten yourself on medication and to an undetectable viral load. When you have the virus in your body, you are more contagious. When you're not on medication, you are more contagious. Hey, do not have sex without disclosing your status to your partner. And I happen to be in my lounge today. The fun of being in college is you don't have your own space, but that's cool. Everybody on my floor is super cool. So do not have sex without disclosing your status to your partner. You can get yourself into legal issues, and you don't want to put, it's a human to human respect thing. So you don't want to put someone at risk, and you want to give someone all the information that they have to make an informed decision about their body. So, if you're feeling frisky, buy a toy, or masturbation is great. Anyways, so don't be above self-help. These 3 books and these 3 authors are great. Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. That's a great starter book. That's one of the first books that I read. It's great to help you cope. It's an easy read. It's a really pretty book. It's not lengthy. It's not thick with information, and it's healing. It's a really good book. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. That's a little bit more thick with information, but it's a great book. And The Power of Now. Abraham Hicks on YouTube is great. I like Abraham Hicks. It has a lot to do with the law of attraction. If you read up on her, you'll see a little bit more. And if you have questions about Abraham Hicks, I'm happy to answer. But check out Abraham Hicks on YouTube. It's a great self-help kind of audio, and there's videos as well. Anything by Tony Robbins is awesome. I love Tony Robbins. I love self-help. It has helped me to be able to tackle this journey. By the way, I've been HIV positive for over 6 years. I forgot to say that at the beginning. But anyways, do not isolate yourself. It's really easy to do that, but you're going to want to reach out to people. Find social support. And then everybody loves cute animals. I look at pictures of cute animals to make me feel better. Find a support group. Join online forums for people living with HIV. This is great social support. Talking to other people who are also living with HIV is really helpful. This is my homepage on pauseforums.com or forums.pause.com. I don't even know if there are other forums. These are the most popular and, in my opinion, the best forums to go on. They're very active. You can post and people respond. People are very helpful. Don't lose patience with yourself. That is very important. It's really difficult, and it's okay to feel self-pity at times. I still feel self-pity at times. It comes and goes. Learn to recognize when it's happening, understand why, and don't judge yourself for why you feel self-pity, and work on ways to pull yourself out of it. I like to watch comedy. Anything that makes me laugh is good. Just kind of like shaking yourself out of the self-pity is really helpful. But if you find yourself there, just understand that this is totally normal. HIV is not easy. So this was one of my first posts on the forums was blessing in disguise. I said, I read a lot of the threads in these forums, and thus far I read a lot about the hardships of this disease, and frankly, I'm scared. Reading about the crazy medical bills, side effects of treatment, cost of treatment, stigma, etc., is very troubling. There must be people out there who have been living with HIV for years and have come to see HIV as a blessing in disguise. Anyone. So that was on February 1st, 2011. That was about November, December, January. That's 3 months after diagnosis for me. So I posted that, and I got a lot of negativity. A lot of people on those forums are long-term survivors. So they got HIV when there wasn't any medication. And back in the day, HIV, it was impossible to look at HIV as a blessing in disguise. And I'll go through that a little bit later. But I got post after post after post. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. And this was my response. I said, wow, that's a lot of responses. I respect everyone's experiences, and I appreciate the time you took to respond. I'm choosing to look at this as a blessing in disguise, though. There's like a little bar that says talking. So I don't, whatever. I don't know if I've ever gotten the kick in the ass to look at my life the way HIV has forced me to look at it. I've had to completely rearrange my priorities and reevaluate every aspect of my life. Sure, I could have done the work to make myself a better person without having been diagnosed with this ridiculous virus, but would I have? I don't know. I'm choosing to look at this as what I need to go through to become the person I was meant to be. Character is built through surviving hardships, and you find out who you truly are in the face of adversity. I refuse to let this take my optimism and my spirit. I will thrive. I appreciate the scientific advances that have been made in the last 20 years to improve the quality of life of people infected with HIV today, and I'm truly sorry about the hardships of the LTSers, long-term survivors, have had to endure these last decades. However, I'm very thankful that with the advances in medicine, my experience with HIV will be much different. Here's life according to Kelly. I was 23, so I thought I knew everything. We are all going to die. Everyone is going to get some kind of disease at some point. Everyone has problems. This is my problem now. Who's to say that my situation is worse than anyone else's? And why am I going to let this get the best of me? I will find something to be thankful for every day of my life, even if it's simply that I have the fingers to type this response. I will fight for my happiness, and I will give more to this world than I can even imagine. I've had a very good life, and I know that my best days are yet to come. So look for the blessing in disguise. We are living in a day and age where if you catch this quickly enough and you get yourself on medication, that you can do that. And I've talked to a lot of people who say that this has made them reprioritize and be a better person, and to look at it as an opportunity to grow and to be better. Learn about the history of HIV. This book, In the Absence of Angels, I mentioned it in one of my other webinars, but Elizabeth Glaser she contracted HIV through a blood transfusion when she was giving birth to her first child, and she accidentally gave it to her daughter and her son, and this was back in the 80s. This book is pretty amazing at helping you to understand the history of it and how far we've come and how much worse it could be. Once you understand that things could be much worse, it's much easier to be grateful. And once you can find reasons to be grateful and to be appreciative of life, it'll help you cope. Like seek and you shall find. So if you're looking for reasons to be angry, you'll find them. If you're looking for reasons to be grateful, you'll find them. If you're looking for reasons to be happy, you'll find them. A lot of people turn to spirituality and turn to God as well. Personally, that wasn't my journey. Whatever works for you. I didn't talk about it today too much because that wasn't my personal journey, but it does work for a lot of people. So this is my contact information. You can contact me on Facebook using the Facebook that has this picture. My other Facebook is my personal Facebook, but you can feel free to reach out to me on any one of these platforms, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And then I'll open the floor up for questions as well.
Kelly, you're only on one medication, correct?
Correct.
Were you ever on the cocktail drug?
I am on the cocktail drug.
No.
My medication has my one pill has 3 medications in them.
Okay. Because I know when HIV first was diagnosed, people were taking like about 10 or 12 pills at one time.
Right.
So they've gotten rid of all of that and making it one, right?
Yeah, it depends on the person. It depends on how quickly you catch the virus in your body. For most people, if you catch the virus quickly and you get to a doctor within, the first year or two, you can get on a medication that will be 1 or 2 pills a day maximum. But some viruses have resistance. And some people wait. Well, a lot of people wait and don't get tested for years and years and years, and then end up in the hospital in the late stages, which is AIDS. So it varies from person to person. Your doctor will put you on the medication that's right for you.
What are the beginning symptoms? What symptoms did you have?
I didn't have any symptoms.
You didn't. You just decided to go.
Yeah, I always got tested regularly as a teen. Well, I didn't start having sex till 19. But I always got tested. I always used protection. I always got tested. I decided to stop using protection with my boyfriend before we got tested. And I took him in with me just because I knew that we should have done it before. And we both tested positive on the same day at the same time. So I didn't have any symptoms of HIV. I just knew that I should have gotten tested before.
Kelly.
Yes.
On that note, in your presentation, you said something about no unprotected sex until you've had medication, or you can get to before you can get med, correct? Remember
Correct.
saying?
Yeah.
Does that mean that you can have, once you're on medication, you can have unprotected sex?
Yes. Once you're on medication, you can have unprotected sex, but you don't want to have unprotected sex with someone without them knowing your HIV status. You always disclose to the person you are going to be having sex with, and that is a decision. The decision to stop using condoms is something that you two should do together with enough education and enough information that both of you feel comfortable. So I was in a relationship for 8 months with a man who was HIV negative, and he and I together decided to stop using protection. But that was something that we did as a couple. But he did not contract the virus from me.
Okay.
Do doctors recommend a certain period of time to cope with realizing that you have HIV, or is it entirely up to you and from person to person?
Yeah, everybody's journey with this is different. I was looking for the blessing in disguise immediately, but I gave myself I gave myself a year to be sad, and I still get sad. Coping is a journey. It's still really difficult. I still have days where I just feel awful and sad and like why me. I still have why me days, you know. There's no doctor recommended like on this day you should stop being sad. You know, but you know it's a practice. You know, trying to look for reasons to be happy is a practice, and it's okay to feel sad, and no one can tell you when that should be over.
Kelly, I don't know if you had an opportunity a few weeks ago to watch the miniseries that was on TV that's called When We Rise.
No.
And it was based on individuals who had contracted HIV and AIDS, the different communities that had contracted it and what they went through. I'm listening to you now. There's such a big difference as to the medication they were receiving them. There were so many people that were dying. At the time, I think it was AZT. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
That was the medication, yes. And they've come a really long way. But listening to you and what you're saying, you know, versus what I watched then. I didn't see the last episode, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But people are just really very sick.
Yeah.
And they were looked at with disdain, you know. It was just unbelievable. Yeah.
I've read a lot about the history of HIV, and like there's a lot of documentaries about it. It's come a long way, but it was a horrible, vicious virus that was ignored and stigmatized for a long time. What? Say the name of that again? Was it We Rise?
When We Rise.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Do you know what? I guess I could Google it. When We Rise. Okay. Thank you for that. I'm absolutely gonna watch that because I watch everything HIV.
Yes, it was really very interesting.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Kelly.
Yes.
I guess as the name suggests, the website stdcheck.com is not necessarily just for HIV. It's for different types of STIs and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So when you send that email or text message, it won't say HIV. It'll just say you are being notified to go get tested for STDs or STIs. It won't say HIV. It'll just say like one of your previous partners is contacting you to go get tested.
Okay. What's your major?
World Arts and Cultures.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. You seem to write really well. I'm thinking you're probably still posting on these sites, right?
I stopped on the pause forums. I don't know. I just kind of drifted away. But I'll write articles here and there. If you Google my name, a bunch of shit comes up. But thank you. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
Yes. What would you say are 2 or 3 ways that somebody could make their situation worse after a diagnosis?
2 or 3 ways that someone can make themselves doing nothing at all, pushing it out of, or trying to push it out of your brain. It's always going to sit right there. Not doing anything at all is going to make things significantly worse. Going into denial, reading about conspiracy theories, not talking to people about it, keeping it in, and not finding support. I forgot to say get a therapist. Yeah, if you can get yourself into therapy, that's helpful. I did that for 3 years.
Do you think that the online forums is a good stepping stone to actually meeting with a group of people in person or meeting with a therapist in person? Or do you see it really as something that complements in-person support groups and in-person therapy sessions?
I see it as a good complement. Yeah, you can go to those forums, and if you want to find a resource in your area, all you have to do is post in the forums. There's a I just tested positive section, and you can say, hi, I'm in, this city, and I'm looking for this resource. Can anybody help me? And a lot of the long-term survivors make sure that they go into the I was just tested positive section, and they'll scan and they like to help the newly diagnosed to find resources. So there's more than likely someone in your area on those forums who has used those resources in your area. So it's a great way to connect yourself to forums, to like medical resources. And it's also a great place just to talk to other people who are living with HIV. But I don't think anything can replace person-to-person contact and relationships, like in-face and voice-to-voice, and real medical care too.
Do you know does I'm sorry. Yeah.
There we go.
Go ahead, man.
Okay, Kelly, do you know, does alcohol consumption reduce or affect the effectiveness of the drugs?
Alcohol does not reduce the effectiveness of the drugs. They tell you not to do drugs and alcohol because it makes you less likely to take your medicine. So if you're drunk or if you're high, you're less likely to remember to take your medicine on time. Okay. But the drugs and the alcohol themselves don't necessarily lessen the effectiveness of it. Yeah, but it's a healthier choice to not.
They just affect your behavior. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, everybody has their own coping mechanism, but it's recommended to not do drugs and alcohol.
Kelly?
What about?
Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, I was asking, you were talking about support groups. How do your parents support you in your journey?
My parents?
Your parents.
My parents. My father passed away in 2014.
Sorry to hear that.
It's okay. My dad just loved me. My mom tries. I love her. I love my mom. She and I we're different humans, very, very different humans. But she supports what I'm doing. She loves me. I don't know. It's hard. The only people who really know what you're going through are other people who have it. That's why I push talking to other people who are living with it, because nobody knows quite like somebody else who has it.
Yeah.
Kelly, do you have siblings?
I have a brother.
You have a brother? Okay.
Yeah.
And he's supportive?
He's my brother's very my family loves me. They really do. They support me. They do. I'm not super close with my family.
Because of?
No, not my brother's. Okay. My brother's very different. My brother's okay. My brother was happy that Trump won.
Okay.
So that gives you a little bit of insight. I mean, I love my brother. He'll say that he's happy that Trump won, and then you ask him why, and he's like, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about politics. I'm like, all right, okay.
Well, my other question is, I know you said about alcohol and drugs, but what about supplements? Do they,
supplements
vitamins and?
I mean, they're helpful. My doctor has prescribed me supplements before, like nutritional supplements.
Mhm.
And I'm like too lazy to take them. I don't know. I never really got into the whole supplement thing. But I mean, I'm sure they're good for you. I'm sure they couldn't hurt.
But you don't feel you need them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. Do you think it's possible for everybody who has HIV to be an advocate, or does it take a special type of person? And what do you think it takes for somebody to step over the line that separates, just a person who has HIV to somebody who tries to help other people who also have HIV?
Becoming, yeah, in order to be an advocate, you kind of do have to be public about it. Because I was thinking to myself, like, does being public and being an advocate, are they mutually exclusive, or are they inclusive? And being public about HIV is not for everybody. It really isn't. Depending on where you live in the country, there's going to be different levels of stigma, different levels of misinformation and education. It's the best thing I ever did for myself personally. I've gotten nothing but love, and it's helped me to feel like I have a purpose. And that's just me personally. I know a lot of other people who want to become advocates, but they're afraid to take that leap, and I don't blame them. It's a decision you really have to think about. You have to think about the pros and cons, and there's no turning back once you become public. I don't want to deter anybody from doing it, but it's not an easy decision, and it's not one to be taken lightly. But it's the best thing I ever did for myself. It helped my healing process. It helped my coping, and it helps me find even more community. And I've gotten nothing but positivity from it. Well, not nothing but positivity. But dating is more difficult. Dating is much more difficult when you're publicly HIV positive, because the stigma of HIV overflows onto the person you're with. Because now you're in the public eye, and the person who's with you is now attached to you, and then HIV comes with the package. So that's the only thing that it's negatively affected is my dating life. I'll take one more question, and then I got to skedaddle to class. And remember, you can always go to brightbod.com and video record yourself asking a question if you have one, if you find later. Anyone? Okay. All right. So I'll sign off. I appreciate everybody's time. I really enjoyed doing this. You guys are awesome. I appreciate your questions. And I will look forward to coming back next week. I think I'm going to do the history of HIV next week, because I think it's fascinating. Hopefully you will too. Yeah. All right. Have a great week, and I'll see everybody next week.